after 2. So we'll just begin in a few minutes. So just to reiterate, if you missed the very beginning, my name is Majella and I'm one of the lecturers at the Aviation Academy at Leeds Bradford. Prior to working as a lecturer, I spent 20 years working for an airline, and I've been teaching at the Aviation Academy for I think about 7 years now, and I sort of coordinate the quality end of the programme as well. Do you want to introduce yourself, Susan?
I will. Hi, my name's Susan Mavor, and like Majella, I am a lecturer at the Aviation Academy. I've been teaching now for 11 years, from a range starting level 2 right up to level 6. I spent 10 years working for British Airways as cabin crew at both Heathrow and Gatwick at different points in my career. And in relation to the degree programme, I am the level 4, which is your first year, course tutor. So I'm there to support you in the first year of your studies at the AV.
Yes, what Susan said. Susan is the course tutor for level 4, and then I am the course tutor for level 5. And then if people choose after they complete the foundation degree, I'm also the course tutor for our level 6 programme as well. And a bit like Susan, I think I've actually worked out of most airports in the UK, from Gatwick, Stansted, Luton, Manchester, Leeds, Bradford, and flown out of many, many more of them. So I think between us, we've got quite a lot of experience going on there, Susan, and we've been around most of the airports as well. So obviously, if you've joined us today, and I'm sorry, my voice is going to keep going, so I've got a glass of water. If you've joined us today, you're obviously interested in studying a foundation degree and hopefully really passionate about aviation. And if you don't know already, we are based sort of partially airside at the airport at Leeds Bradford. And you have to have a current DBS to be able to join us there as a student, because you do have to go through a security barrier each day when you come to study. So prior to September, if you have applied or are still thinking about applying, then it's really important that you send off now for your DBS so that you can be allowed to arrive on campus on the first day. I think the campus, and Susan, I'll let you chip in a moment as well. We'll just have a little bit of the campus. There is actually, if you look at the Craven College website, there is actually a little video clip that Kyle from marketing has filmed, where he's gone around the different rooms. You'll recognise Susan is on there, and you can see if you can pick out the back of my head in one of the rooms as well. And so that goes live into the rooms when we're teaching, and you can hear then the students' account of what they think of life at the Aviation Academy as well. And so we're based across 3 floors there. And internally, we look out onto a hangar with lots of light aircraft and helicopters in that, which is really nice when you look out the internal windows. We have the multi-flight cafe there as well, that has a student menu. So if anybody chooses not to bring their lunch, then you can go and eat at the cafe, which is really quite reasonable for students. We have students who join us from Scotland to London. And if you want to have accommodation, then some students just stay in accommodation in Leeds City Centre and get the bus out to us. Or some students, because we don't sort of drip feed our lectures over the entire week, we sort of pack them into a day and a half, so that students, if they want to, they can hold down a part-time job as well. So some students who travel from far away quite often choose to stay maybe in a B&B for one night. So they travel down on a Tuesday morning early, study all day, stay overnight, and then the second day in the first year is a half day. So lots of buses in and out of Leeds City Centre, food on site. Do you want to add anything else, Susan, that you can think of that I've missed in terms of the whole accommodation?
No. Well, really, some of our students who have and wide stay in, general halls, as Majella said, in Leeds City Centre. So we've had a few people do that over the years. And also we've got really quite good transport links. So to the train station at Apperley Bridge, which is our nearest and then nearest train station. Then you can get the bus up to the academy from there. There's lots of transport links that come to Leeds Bradford Airport, and it's a 10-15 minute walk round the corner to the academy, just at the other side of the airfield. And lots of our students come from the Yorkshire area, sometimes car. If you are travelling by car, we have good car parking facilities outside the building, and you're issued with a car park pass at a very small fee, a month at a time, and you can park directly outside.
Yeah, I think the card costs £5 initially, which you get refunded if you keep it safe, and you can give it back when you finish. Plus it's £5 a month to park right outside the door, which is actually amazing value. It actually just works out to be a couple of pence per day. Just going back to the holistic side of the course before we sort of dive into the course itself, we talked about having a course tutor, and Susan is the course tutor for the level 4. And within that, then you have a tutorial each week. And that could be a one-to-one where you'd have 15 minutes with Susan, and then in year 5 or 6 with myself to discuss any issues, what perhaps you need to work on, you know, how you think things are going well, or perhaps sometimes not so well. So we are sort of, you know, your kind of aviation stroke academic mums that are there for you. So we have one-to-ones, and then we also have group tutorials where we get together as a group to discuss your progress, different aspects of the modules you're currently studying, or anything else as a group that anybody wants to sort of bring up and discuss. I think one of the brilliant things about studying at the Aviation Academy and studying a degree within the context of a further education college is that you are studying in very small groups. So unlike going to a very large institute where you're going to maybe be in a large theatre with maybe 150, 200 people and you're anonymous. I mean, there are pros and cons to this, I guess. You are going to be in a group of maybe 12 to 20 people. So we get to know you really well. You call us by your first names, and we know you as well really well. And unlike if you have previously studied with us in further education, it is a very different experience in the higher education, in that we treat you as an adult. We expect you to dress quite smartly, sort of like you were going to business, so that we're preparing you for the industry. And I don't mean you don't have to wear a 3-piece suit or anything, or come in really, you know, a business suit, but we do expect you to make a little bit more of an effort to prepare you for that sort of mindset of being professional. Anything, Susan, you want to add with tutorials or?
Really that we are there to support you, and you know, as Majella said, you will have a regular tutorial slot, but we are available in between times for any support, or obviously issues don't always come up at your allocated tutorial time. So we are there to support you. We appreciate how challenging it can be starting a degree programme in the beginning, and that people need lots of support. So we are there to offer that, both academically and from a personal point of view.
Yeah, I think one of the other benefits as well is the fees we charge, which are £6,750 a year to study with us, as opposed to paying £9,200 plus fees at a larger university. So when you do leave, you do have a much smaller student debt. And just talking about student debt, people often feel sort of quite threatened by student debt, but lots of economists and lots of financial advisors do say that actually student debt is the best debt that you're ever going to have. And if you get to 55 and you haven't paid it off, then the debt is eradicated. And so for an example, my friend's son has just graduated, and he spent almost 5 years at university, and he's got his first job, but he's only paying £20 a month out of his wages now. So it's not as if you're going to be sort of have this shackle of an awful lot of money hanging around your neck forever. It is just a small amount that comes out every month. And if at times you are earning less than £25,000 a year, because you have to be earning £25,000 for actually the debt to for it to kick in that the debt's taken out of your salary. So don't feel like if you are concerned about the finance side of it, don't sort of let that side put you off. If anybody wanted to talk about any further discussion about maintenance loans or grants, then you're welcome to email admissions@cravencollege.ac.uk if anybody wanted to have any, have any chat about anything like that. We're not sort of real sort of experts on the finance side of things, but of course, there are Bethany in student finance will be able to sort that out for you and give you all the correct data.
I think Beth has joined us today, so if there are any questions, perhaps she could answer later.
Yeah, maybe Beth could type the answers in. That would be brilliant. So if you are here, you are obviously interested in aviation, and we have. So when you start in level 4. What we hope is that because you are studying something that you're really passionate about, that you are passionate about your studies and you're actually really engaged with your studies as well. And so if you're studying something that you really, really enjoy and love, then it's much more, it's so much easier to do the work, do the research, and to get really good results. So when you join at level 4, we have 2 different pathways. So we have our aviation management and operations, and we have our aviation management and operations with pilot studies. But as you join, everybody stays together for the first year, and you work together over the first year. And then when you go into the second year, if possibly in the future you're thinking that you might want to do your PPL independently, or if you think that you never want to do a PPL, but you fancy swapping out 2 of the modules for 2 of the pilot studies modules, then you have that option. If you don't choose to do that at the beginning, but at the end of the second year, you think, oh, actually, that is something that might interest me, then it's still not too late. Before you start in the second year, you can make that transfer across then as well. And I'll let Susan talk a little bit more of that so that you don't get sick listening to my voice all the time.
Yeah, okay. So as Majella said, you do a common first year, whichever pathway you choose. For those of you that wish to do the with pilot studies option, then the 2 pilot studies modules would be navigation, and the other one would be human performance and limitations. Now, we chose those modules in that pathway to underpin your PP studies, or as Majella said, if you have a particular interest in that aspect of the industry. So I think human performance is a module from looking at the biology of the human body and how that works and how that influences perhaps our, how that impacts on flying. And we look at visual illusions, we look at different things that impact on flying that are human related, basically. And the benefit of that module is that it's relevant to any aspect of aviation, to any aviation career, not just piloting. We're impacted, as we all know, by fatigue, we're impacted by perhaps stressful situations, we're impacted by the hours that we all work. All these can influence on how we are in the workplace. So it's a really beneficial module for anyone going into the industry. It's relevant to lots of different careers. In terms of navigation, that is quite pilot specific, but in that module you learn some really good practical skills. So based on your map skills mostly. So we look at different charts around the UK. You learn to use your CRP flight computer and how to plot on charts, how to identify different obstacles perhaps on a specific route, such as high terrain, perhaps the radio masts, transmitters. We look at different types of beacon and sort of navigational aids on the way to help us fly. So again, that module would help anyone doing their PPL just really underpin their skills and to hone their skills. And again, if anyone's just interested in general in that aspect of flying, then it would be really, really useful.
Okay, so alongside that, you're obviously, we are sort of getting you into the mindset of management and being a manager in the aviation industry. So whether you've done A-levels or you've come from a B.Tech background, we try to keep the assessments really fair. So within the first 2 years, there is a mixture of assessments by written reports, short ones initially, and then sort of they gradually get longer. You also do standing up to do some presentations where you prepare a PowerPoint slide and some notes, and you have to present within an allotted time frame. And as well, then there are some exams. So in year 2, whether you do the pilot with pilot studies, or if you stick on the management pathway, there are 2 exams on the management pathway as well when you join the year 2. So we've tried to make it really fair, because I know our students do, some do A-levels, and if you've come from maybe science and mathematical A-levels, then you perhaps aren't that good at writing large reports, but you probably think, oh, I really love the whole exam thing. Whereas if you've come from a B.Tech background, you might feel quite scared about exams, and you might just feel much more happy writing in your own time. However, whichever way it is, we do a module in year 1 called Personal and Professional Development, where we teach you how to research, how to write reports, how to reference, where to find journal articles, and sort of it's really actually lovely to see how people progress from level 4 right through to when they finish at level 6, and they can't actually believe how well they have done that. And I think actually that is one of the really good things that we're really, really good at the Aviation Academy with the tutors we have, and how experienced they are, and having that sort of small size classrooms. Students really do get a lot of one-to-one attention, and we do have some support people who are on site as well, so that if a student, perhaps their marks are dipping a little bit, and we think that potentially they could do better, we do direct people to get some support with their proofreading, with their writing skills, with their research, and referencing, just some additional support. So I think because we are so small, we can keep an eye on that, and then we can direct people where required. Because really what we're aiming to do is for everybody to reach their absolute potential. Whether your potential is a pass or a distinction, that's irrelevant. What we want people to do is to reach their best and not compare themselves to other people on the course. So like I said, so in year 1 then, you're going to be as well, if you haven't, some of our students on the course may have come up through our FE program, but if you haven't, then that isn't an issue either, and don't feel scared that perhaps there's going to be some people in the classroom with you, because both myself and Susan teach on the level 4 program, and we teach modules such as airport operations, airline operations, health, safety and security, customer service management. So we're getting you ready for the management mindset that you're going to be going into in year 2. But you then, at the end of year 1, you have an absolutely fantastic underpinning of the aviation industry, and how it operates and all the facets of it that come together that make the aviation industry. Do you want to add anything? And actually, I think, Susan, in a few moments, we should maybe see if anybody's got any questions, because I'm Irish and Susan's Scottish, and we're just chatting away here, and we'll see if anyone has got any questions. Do you want to add anything to the programme?
Yeah, just really to let you know how many modules you'd actually be sitting. So in your first year, you would sit 3 modules in semester 1, which is what we call terms now. So 3 modules in semester 1, which are professional and personal development, development of air transport systems, which looks at the history of the industry until the point of where we are today, in terms of how we've developed, and also airline operations, as Majella mentioned. And then in semester 2, you sit another 3 modules, which are airport operations, customer service management, and health, safety and security. Just testing myself.
When you teach, Susan.
But I forgot to mention it. Which looks at all aspects of the health, safety and security of the industry. Okay. I can see somebody's asked a question there, which is, in the current situation, would the first term or two be online based or at the campus? So that's a $1 million question at the moment.
Yeah, so the answer to that is we don't actually know at the moment. We're preparing for both, and we don't actually know where we're going to be. I think really for the level 4 students, it would be great to have you definitely on campus so that we can get to know you, and you know, you can get to know each other. But only, I don't know, Boris seems to, and the people from Sage, that's who seem to have all the answers, and we don't know at the moment, but we are preparing for both.
Yeah. Just to chip in on that, that for the last 8 weeks, we've actually been teaching online. So our classes have actually continued as normal, but on an online basis. So we feel we've done our best to still give the students that the experience that they deserve when they've, you know, chosen to do a degree with us. So we've used Microsoft Teams, which some of you are familiar with, and it's basically an online video teaching platform. And that our students have joined us every week for their normal timetabled lessons, and we've just done it virtually as opposed to actually face-to-face in the classroom. So should you know, there still be restrictions in place in September when we're due to start back, then that is one of the options open to us. But as Majella said, ideally we'll, you know, hopefully we'll be seeing you face-to-face in the classroom, okay, because you know, there's nothing beats that.
I just think I saw Ben Root on there a few moments ago, and Ben's one of our level 4 students currently who's actually transferring on to the With Pilot Studies pathway. So I just wondered, Ben, if you could type in, have you been okay? You've managed to submit everything on time, have you, working on MS Teams? See if Ben types anything in.
Yeah.
We're all waiting for Ben. We've got a question at the moment. It says that regards to the DBS, as said earlier, do you require the sending to you to admissions or brought with you to enrolment? As you've heard, both. So I'm thinking usually to enrolment, isn't it? But that's going to possibly be online enrolment this year. So I think, yeah, I think we'd have to sending it through.
Clarify that one. Normally students bring it to enrolment, which is usually a face-to-face situation. But again, depending on what's happening with the coronavirus issue, whether we're actually able to enrol students face-to-face or whether that's going to be online. So you will be given really clear instructions for enrolment, and so you can go ahead and apply for your DBS as normal, and they will send you a certificate which will have a reference number, and then we will let you know in the forthcoming weeks, once we know we're a bit clearer about what's happening with the current situation, whether you actually bring that with you to enrolment or whether you're going to email that to admissions or not. Okay, hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I think if we're online, you know, there isn't that getting through the security barrier episode that you need to have the DBS for, although to have a job in the industry you do need to have a clear DBS anyway. Just going back, Ben did answer. He just said that he's done all right, he guesses, with a little smiley face, and I think he's done very well, and he's actually looking forward to traveling, converting over onto our new With Pilot Studies pathway. I know as well, he's very excited about that. So
yeah, so thank you. I have my DBS already, so I'll wait for your email. Thanks for clarifying. Okay, that's great. Can you confirm if it's a DBS England or a Scotland check? It's actually a Disclosure Scotland check. That's a really, really good question. So we're talking about DBS. It's a Disclosure Scotland that we use. So if you go onto the Disclosure Scotland website, it's a really straightforward application process. It can all be done online. There is a small cost involved, which I believe is about £24 or £25. And that can all be done using a debit card or a credit card. and then the process begins. It's usually a pretty straightforward process. They come back to you within 2 or 3 weeks, depending on how busy they are. So it's Disclosure Scotland that you apply to, please.
Okay, so you'll get all, who's saying now Craven College, you're just replying, yeah, you'll get all the information about the Disclosure Scotland with your enrolment information in July. Brilliant, thank you. If that's Beth, thank you very much. Okay. I think I said previously that the courses do run. So in year one, it's 1.5 days. So we put all your modules together and your lessons. So that's 1.5 days. So if you do have a part-time job currently, everything isn't completely finalized, the calendars, but generally, or can you think off the top of your head, Susan? So I'm thinking the level 4s came in this year and we tend to alternate them. Was a Tuesday, half day, Wednesday. So it'd be Wednesday, half day, Tuesday. So if you, yeah, isn't that right? Am I right?
So our current first years are Tuesday and half day Wednesday. And then they keep that for the following year. So our new year ones, I think, will be Wednesday, Thursday.
Would they? Yeah.
I think, yeah, we will clarify that.
Yeah.
One benefit actually of the courses that we offer, that, as Majella said, if you do have a part-time job that you're balancing with your studies and your personal life, then we do try and stick to the same days throughout your course. So if you start off on a Wednesday and a Thursday in your first year, we do our best to actually continue with those days in the second year of your studies, so that it doesn't mess around with your any jobs that you might have, or juggling, you know, perhaps childcare or personal commitments.
Yeah, but one thing I would sort of err on the sort of side of caution, if you do have a job, just sort of put some time aside for your studies as well. Try not to think, oh, you're 1.5 days in college. So I'll just think in advance, if when you are accepting a job offer or planning your sort of year ahead in terms of work commitments, it's sort of, you know, the people who get the best results sort of put sort of quite a bit of effort into their report writing, and that's not something that can be knocked up just in a few hours just before the deadline. So some thought and research and proofreading, etc., needs to go into that. So that's just taking time. And I think earlier what I didn't say was, when I talked about people coming from BTECs and people coming from A-levels, quite a lot of our students actually decide to come back to us. Some people may have been out of education for quite a few years. Some people may have had small children. Some people just want maybe a change of career, and that's absolutely fine as well. And so if you have been out of education for a long time, what we do is ask you to come in for a little bit of a chat and an interview, or if you think, oh, I can't find my maths O-level, where was that? Maybe 10 years ago, then we just ask you to sit a very small maths and English test. Because what we don't want to do is to set anybody up to fail and sort of flounder and put them out of their, you know, their comfort zone. We want to give everybody the platform where they can succeed and have the tools to succeed when they start. Okay, I'm just thinking if there's anything else. Has anything else that we think? Craven College, you're just typing as well earlier that they're going to get some more information out to you about your Disclosure Scotland with enrolment information as well. The other thing is we do have a Craven College Higher Education Facebook page. So if anybody's interested, and we do post some things on there. I've just seen Kaylee Rubery's joined. Hi.
Hi, Kaylee.
How are you? So if anybody wants to join our Craven College Higher Education Facebook page, then please do. And we do post some things on there from time to time as well. Kaylee's saying hi. Kaylee's one of our current level 4 students going on. So Sally's just saying, what's the minimum requirement for the degree course?
Okay, so you would need to have 120 UCAS points.
I think it's 40. I think is it 48? Not 48 now, Susan. Actually,
yes, I'm still on the old scheme there for a moment.
You're the old point basis.
I'm still back in the past. It's 48 UCAS points. If you wanted to apply or to check how many UCAS points you've got, you can go onto the UCAS website and there's a UCAS calculator. If you just put that into Google, in fact, you can calculate whether you've done A levels or whether you've done BTEC or NCFE type qualifications or any other, some high level music even grades. Gain some UCAS points, so that will help you work out how many points you have. So we ask for a minimum of 48, please. And also in terms of the application process, all our applications are done on the UCAS website. You can search us by the name, Craven College, or you can search us by course, which is Foundation Degree in Aviation Management and Operations. And apply that way. You will have to complete a personal statement, as you would with any degree programme. But it's a relatively straightforward process, really selling yourself to us about saying what your qualities are, what skills you're going to bring, why perhaps you want to study an aviation related qualification. Okay. So that's all done through the UCAS website, and the applications automatically come through to us as a result of that. Okay.
Okay, so just following on from that then, so when you complete your year 1 and year 2, you have a graduation at Skipton Castle, which is really lovely. This year for our level 5, our end of foundation year students, we're going to have the graduation next April, actually, just to make sure that everybody is on time. Let's just read what Craven College have got: 48 UCAS points and GCSE English and Maths grade 4 to 9. So you should have passed your maths and English. Thank you, Craven College. Yes. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh, you were just cutting out there, Susan. Sorry.
If you're old school qualifications, it's grades A to C. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So when you do, you complete your 2 years with us, and then if you have passed all your modules and successful, you qualify with a foundation degree in aviation operations management with pilot studies or just aviation management. And then what most of our students choose to do is they choose to transfer into the our 3rd year, which is a BSc in air transport management. So the foundation degree is a qualification in its own right, and you have a full graduation ceremony then. But if you do want to complete and have a full degree, a full BSc, because you stay and then you change. So on our final year degree programme, you just come to us 1 day a week. So it's a Wednesday. So people can still organise their time, job, social life, childcare. And you come in. It's quite a long day on a Wednesday. You start at 9 and you don't finish till about 5:15. So we do pack it all in. I'm not going to run through all the modules because obviously if you're starting at level 4, it's probably a bit of wasting your time telling you what you could potentially be studying at level 6. But we do still have a tutorial time at level 6, and I'm the course tutor, and we do sort of some a little bit of PPD where as you're going along, you sort of try to reflect and jot down what you're learning, so that actually what we're preparing you for is to have a job in industry. Now, I know maybe some of you are thinking at the moment, the aviation industry, nothing's really happening. But with our aviation operations and management FD, and then our full BSc in air transport management, some of our students then progress on to level 7 master courses as well. And the skills you learn on your FD and on your BSc in the 3rd year, they're all fantastic transferable skills that will take you in any direction you choose to go. So this year, for example, we have one of our students going on to do a master's in aviation. We have one going on to do a master's in leadership and management, and we have one going on to do a master's in marketing. So over the duration of your studying with us, people sort of home in on different modules, and they think, so for example, our student who's going on to do the degree in the master's in marketing, she really loved the marketing module that she did in her 2nd year on the foundation degree. She really sort of enjoyed that.
and she got a job with Jet2, and she is now going on to study part-time as well, doing a master's, because she feels that she loves studying so much. It's become a bit of an addiction to her, that she wants to carry on now when she's on a roll, and complete her master's. And we set the students up so that actually when they are finishing, similar to any university, any of our students at level 6 who sort of have the drive and have the motivation, that we ensure that they have the skill set to carry on studying onto a master's program, and then eventually maybe onto a PhD program, who knows. But just think, what I would say is make sure you're studying something you love, and if you're passionate about it, then it's easier to study. And all the skills you do have, whether it's report writing and the management pathway, which applies to all of our students, even if it's with pilot studies, you have so many transferable skills to take you wherever you want to go in life. So it is an absolutely fantastic course.
Can I just chip in there, Majella, and just careers that some of our students have ended up doing? I think that's really important to know, perhaps where you're going or what your options are. And we appreciate that, you know, things at the moment in the aviation industry are looking quite uncertain. However, it's an industry that always bounces back eventually from whatever has happened. And so hopefully by the time that you'd completed your studies, things will be a bit more normal perhaps in the industry, and those opportunities will be as good as they were. We've had students who have become successful pilots, who've become gaining jobs with British Airways, for example, in management positions. We've had go to work for Swissport, the ground handling company. Some of our students, or quite a lot of our students, have actually gone to Jet2 to flying jobs, both pilots and as cabin crew. Gone into work as dispatchers in the dispatch role, so that's dispatching the aircraft, in charge of all the sort of turnaround services. So there's lots of different options for you, whatever aspect that you would like to go into. And I think having a degree under your belt stands you in good stead for the future. So perhaps further down the line in your career, the fact that you have a degree under your belt will really help you perhaps with promotion prospects, or to get that, you know, that dream career. So I think it's good to know where some of our students have gone in the past.
Yeah,
I was just going to say, questions in relation to maybe careers?
Sorry, Susan, you cut out there.
I was going to ask if anybody had any questions in relation to careers.
I'm just charging. I was going to say as well, actually, within the aviation industry, it's quite often what people don't realise. Sometimes you have to sort of start lower down, but then people who have been on our degree programme very, very quickly rise to management positions. So within aviation, everybody, they like you to, because it's quite vocational, and your degree in many ways, although it's academic, it is vocational as well. Within the land of aviation, they like you to have a sort of a good grounding in all areas of the industry. And so if you maybe become a manager at the airport, which some people do, or managers with Jet2, perhaps people will have started out as passenger service agent. They have worked in maybe security. They have a really good broad knowledge, because then that also, in addition to your academic skills, that also then feeds into your overall competence as a manager within the industry, so that you understand the roles within each sector when you're working. So what I would say is, don't expect to just get your degree and then sort of become the managing director of Leeds Bradford Airport. It doesn't quite work like that. I think we need to be realistic. And as well, what I always love about Susan's philosophy in life is about having a plan A, B, C, D, and E. And And so perhaps if you weren't, maybe if you were thinking of doing something else this year and you weren't thinking about doing a degree, and maybe you're listening now to us chatting, maybe this is a good time, as Susan said earlier, to think, yeah, do you know what? I will actually take this time now to do this foundation degree, perhaps. And then when I finish in 2 years' time, the industry will have picked itself up again. And I'll be there with my qualification ready to go, industry ready.
No, I think that's really moment, because we're all aware from, you know, it's getting a lot of media coverage, what's happening with the airline industry at the moment and how badly it has been affected. So as I said, you know, that bounce back hopefully will be amazing in, you know, in a couple of years' time when you potentially have finished your foundation degree, or maybe in 3 years when you finished your full BSc, and you'll be in a really good position for applying for jobs at that stage. And it's a highly competitive industry, as I'm sure you're aware. So to get the best qualification you possibly can is going to stand you in really good stead for the future.
I don't know actually if anybody on the live stream saw last week I posted a little article that I'd written